Remember when we used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say it at all? Or how about not long ago in a galaxy not too far away when people, especially women, were begging for men to give compliments without being a dog about it? Well, those days appear to be in the past, especially if you are President Trump, where a single compliment is akin to sexual harassment or rape in the eyes of the left. Our favorite fake scientist is back in the news. That's right, Bill Nye is back on our topics this week, and he felt it was better for one of his writers to steal the spotlight for a little bit this week, but at least we now know where he gets some of his whacked-out perspectives. Two driver stories made the news this week. A pregnant woman runs down a man in a parking lot, and a man Facebook live streams his rampage as he runs into a brand new Ten Commandments monument in Arkansas. Illinois is the perfect example of what years upon years of progressive liberal policies can lead to, as Governor Bruce Rauner says they are entering what he calls a banana republic territory. President Trump is having a rough week with the media as he is caught hanging fake Time magazine covers in his golf resorts. Talk about fake news. And is an ongoing Twitter battle with Mika and Joe Scarborough. And a familiar face surfaces to defend the MSNBC couple. But first, what would you do if you found a 33-year-old man was sending sexually explicit messages to your 15-year-old daughter? Would you leave it to the law and hope that they do something in time? Or do something about it yourself? Well, a dad in Oklahoma just answered that question. We begin there on the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Generation Y Conservative Podcast, where the truth is more important than agenda. And we don't assume anything. I still have to add that to the taglines here. You can follow me on social media. You might be watching us right now on Facebook Live, which we stream the podcast, kind of a behind-the-scenes look every Thursday or Friday, sometimes even Saturdays now. But the way to get notified on that is to head over to the Generation Y Conservative page, hit the like button, and then go to the following button and just hover over it, drop down, and get notifications. That will actually give you the opportunity to be notified when we start a live stream, and you want to do that with almost any page that does live streaming. For instance, Milo, yeah. Dave Rubin is a big one that I follow, so I get notifications when they go live. If you're also following along, you can find the HD version of these podcasts usually a couple days later after the podcast is recorded on YouTube, and you'll just have to search for the Generation Y Conservative, and the information is right now at the bottom of your screen that you can see where to go for that. Hit subscribe, and also while you're there, hit the little bell, and again, do that with any of the YouTube creators that you follow, because that will actually get you a notification when they publish a video, or I publish a video. Keep in mind that we don't do just politics on this podcast. We've also, on my channel at least, we've also been doing movie reviews. The latest movie review is actually up on the front of the YouTube channel right now, which is the Wonder Woman review. Mike was my companion to go see that movie.
Homework.
Yeah. So you can head over to that and check it out as well. Great movie, and there were definitely some things to talk about within that movie as well. Yep. And at the end of this podcast, we're going to talk about the next movie that we're going to see and review, because it is the summer blockbuster, I think, in my mind. You can also tag along and follow and interact with comments or questions, or just to get in my face like I do to Keith Olbermann sometimes, on Twitter by going to @GenYConservative without the E on the end, and follow along with me there. Also, this podcast is rebroadcast on internet radio station KLRN on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. They've also put me on the iTunes network under their programming, so you can find me there and subscribe to the audio-only podcast if you want to listen to it at work, or, anywhere else in the car or anything. It's up to you. You can also get the audio podcast on Google Play and Stitcher as well. So now that we have all that out of the way, I want to welcome back Mike again.
Hello, everyone.
He's back from vacation and feeling refreshed. So
yeah. It's a good time.
We are switching the charities a little bit early this month with the 4th of July just around the corner here. We just got done spotlighting the Truth for Women organization here in the Lehigh Valley, which focuses on sexual abuse victims. So if you want to check that out, go to the last podcast and you can find out more about that. This month's spotlighted charity is Angel 34, and it's a little bit near and dear to my heart, actually, and suggested by one of my followers. Angel 34 is a national organization united in the fight against childhood cancer and dedicated to finding a cure. Childhood cancer remains the #1 disease killer of children, yet there has not been a new drug developed specifically for pediatric cancer treatment in nearly 20 years. At Angel 34, they are dedicated to changing those statistics through several channels, including research. Through their global mission to support research and various grant programs, they hope to encourage advancements in science, doctors' knowledge and expertise, and fund creative programs dedicated toward finding a cure and advancements in treatment options. Angel 34 is proud to partner with the St. Baldrick's Foundation in finding a cure for childhood cancer. Their mission is to support programs with your donations that will increase the survival rate among children with cancer, enhance their quality of life, expand the discovery of treatment options, expand research and treatment options for all kinds of childhood cancer, explore the development of childhood cancer treatments versus adult cancer hand-me-down drug options that statistically often don't work, and also monitor timelines, objectives, and results in their supported research programs. Now, as many of you know, if you've been following along, I myself am a survivor of cancer. I am 34 right now, but as a 26-year-old, I was dealing with that, and it was lymphoma. And when I would go in for my treatments or checkups, one of the most heartbreaking things to me is my situation I'm able to laugh at. As a matter of fact, people are always shocked that I laugh so much at my experience with cancer. But it's just having a more positive outlook on life and knowing who's in control of your life, in my mind, which is God. But one of the most heartbreaking things is actually going into those treatment centers and seeing someone that's just under 15 years old, I would say. You know, anybody under the age of 20, I would say. But when you're seeing kids that are under the age of 12...
It's awful.
It will bring The Rock to tears.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of the worst things. And knowing what I went through, just to give you a little bit more of a vivid example on what it's like to have cancer and what the treatment is like. Now, it's different for everyone. As a matter of fact, everyone I talk to has had different symptoms when going through the treatment of chemotherapy and everything. I myself felt like my sinuses had Tabasco sauce being pumped through them for a good week and a half straight. So I know that the pain that I went through, where I had to bury my face into a couch for a week and a half and lay there, unable to do anything with the worst migraines ever, knowing that there's children going through that, fighting for their lives, well, all I can say is this. Go to Angel 34 and find out more information just by Googling them and coming up with a website. Unfortunately, I forgot the website on here, where to go to. But just Google Angel 34. It's a national organization, and I would encourage you to go and find out how you can donate to it. And also, if there's any volunteer opportunities, if that's where you feel your heart is led, certainly do that as well. So, in our first topic, we just got done right before going into the podcast here talking about an Oklahoma man who is a father and took matters into his own hands and set up a sting operation to capture a 33-year-old man allegedly sending sexually explicit messages to his 15-year-old daughter. The dad discovered the inappropriate messages and photos while using the parental control app called Family Time, and this app allows parents to monitor their children's phone calls, text messages, and block apps and games that are deemed inappropriate. That's Family Time app, which we're going to have to
link in the description down below.
Yeah, exactly. Before we go any further, we're entering. I just posted an article today going over how our generation is a special fit, right? And it was our generation grew up in an analog generation, and then as adults transitioned into the digital age, and we were that clear-cut line, and they say it's the the ages that were born between 1978 and 1983.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you were what,
81.
81. Okay. So I was 83. So I was right on the verge of that. And I thought it was a great article. I don't like the name that they came up for.
Yeah,
Xennial.
Zennials. Like it's like
something.
it's a mix of Generation X and millennials.
Yeah.
Like you're not one all the way, but you're not the other all the way. So they just mashed it together. Like
yeah, exactly. So, but one of the things that got me thinking is just how we were the first generation to really tackle technology fully, and it's even more obvious with our children right now.
Oh, yeah.
That, no lie, the first time I just handed my kid a tablet, it was like they had been playing with it for a year.
They knew what to do.
It's unbelievable. But this is kind of some of the stuff I've been thinking about for years now, since my oldest daughter was born.
Yep.
Which is, once she's driving around, I know what I did as a teenager, and it wasn't listening to my parents, that's for sure. Going out at night and skipping out and not going where I was going to go and everything. You know, there's all these ways of tracking the phones now and everything, and I hate to be that type of person.
Oh, but I'm going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
So once again, it's the Family Time app.
hey, sons and daughters out there, if you don't want us to be that kind of dad, no problem. You're getting a flip phone. That's it.
That's true. Flip phones. So anyway, this dad discovered the inappropriate messages through this app, and when the 33-year-old man eventually set up a time to meet the teen, the father conjured up a plan to nab him. He said he had planned everything with her. He was ready, and we were too. So let's take a look at what this guy, the video. Now, there's no sound to this video right now. We have plenty of videos to watch tonight.
Real quick, before we start the video, so the daughter's involvement, I guess, was she like not on board with this 33-year-old guy and like telling her dad and they were working together, or was she like all in?
She was caught.
Okay, so she was caught too. All right, so we got two culprits here. Obviously.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're going to see, before I actually play the video, the way that this family sting operation went is the guy, the 33-year-old, came to the house expecting to have sex, which is what was set up, with this 15-year-old girl in the backyard in a tent. Okay, what happened was the mother hid in the tent.
Oh.
Okay, and then as he went up to the tent and started unzipping it, the father, his cousin, and brother-in-law or something like rushed out and tackled the guy, zip-tied him up, and waited for the police to come and everything. I think they approached the police officers before that anyway. Yeah. But what I was saying before is that this video doesn't have any sound to it. We have plenty of videos that we'll be showing tonight that do have sound to it, some fun ones too. Yeah. But just take a look at the sting operation going down here. Oh yeah, he's zip tied up. Okay, so it's a quick video, but essentially what it's showing is they set it all up. You know, they have all the inappropriate text messages and pictures and everything that this guy sent. They have him entering the property, which is
trespassing.
It's trespassing. You have entered once he's on your property. I mean, that's it. I think that's where the police went with this, but. It says that the family took it upon themselves to pretend to be her and invite the suspect to the house to meet her in the backyard in a tent for the purpose of having sex, the police department said, the Del City Police Department. Now, that was the only statement from the police department, okay, which surprises me. I'm shocked that there wasn't more of a response from the police department discouraging this family and in the long run, more families from doing their own sting operations.
They're basically becoming vigilantes.
Yeah, and I was surprised that there wasn't any more statement from the police that they were saying, don't do this. Like, if something's really going on and you have that much time to plan something out, certainly contact us and everything. But at the same time, you can't. Sometimes you got to rely on what you have. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it, I am a big supporter of the police, but what if they said that they would show up and they never showed up and something did happen? You know, what if he opened up the tent, saw the mother, had a knife or gun on him because he actually went there to do that and it wasn't sex or something?
Yeah, you never know.
You know, things could have really gone sour in this whole situation. That's pretty scary. But so what the father said is, I love this. So the moment he entered my yard, that point in time, I had to do what was right as a father. He said, You walked into the wrong backyard. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So,
now, in the text messages, was it clear that it was known that she was 15?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what, I mean, you
you
also never, too. I mean...
Yep.
I mean, you go to... It's hard to tell now between 18 and 15. Now, granted, if you're 33, I don't know what you're doing looking for an 18-year-old anyway, but that is like the legal line. Mm-hmm. So I would just want to know if it was... He knew for sure.
It's those people that straddle that legal line.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's kind of like that... have you heard of this Austin Jones situation? No. He's a big YouTuber, like over 5 million followers, and he like for singing and stuff like that. He does like a cappella videos of current songs and whatnot.
Okay.
But he got arrested and is now under house arrest while he's awaiting trial for basically child pornography, because he was getting his fans and manipulating them to send videos of them twerking and taking their clothes off and dancing and what really killed him, for his whole defense, is in the transcripts of the text messages and stuff like that, he is saying, say that you're 14. Like, he wants them, like, that's like one thing that he, gets his jollies off on or whatever, that they're that young.
Oh my God.
So he's like, in that situation, that he knows and is enjoying that they're underage. So I would just wonder if this guy knew that she was, and probably did. But I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
Because that matters, I feel like.
Whew. All right. So let's see. Speaking of taking justice into your own hands, this is one of my favorite stories of the week, actually. And again, do you do it, taking the law into your own hands? I don't recommend it, but it's pretty cool what this woman did. So
I think I saw this too.
Yeah, a 26-year-old woman who is 5 months pregnant drove down her purse snatcher in a Walmart parking lot, plowing into him, and she doesn't have any regrets.
Yeah.
A witness claimed he saw the suspect, later identified as Robert Raines, rummaging through a purse in an SUV at the Asheville Walmart. The purse in the SUV belonged to Christine Broswell, who is 5 months pregnant. This is what Blake Bennett, the witness, said. When I walked out of Walmart, he had her purse and was pulling all of her stuff out. At that point in time, he and his friend told the man to put it down and asked what he was doing. Broswell, the victim involved here, the 5 months pregnant woman, said she confronted Raines before he ran away. She said, he was with my purse and he took off and I took off after him. Me being 5 months pregnant, I chased a little ways, then came back, jumped in the car, threw it into gear, and came across the curb and ran him over. So it's got video by bystanders. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Get out of the way! Holy
Boom. So this woman ran this guy down and like full on clobbered him.
That's...
I'm actually from the angle of the video, it almost looked like he got pinned between two cars.
Yeah.
But it's not. He apparently got knocked onto the grassy knoll, I guess, on the median or whatever in the parking lot. But you know what? First of all, he didn't. It doesn't seem like he had. It seems like he had minor injuries, from what the news report said. He's getting charges thrown at him.
Yeah.
She is having charges thrown at her, but they are saying it's probably not going to stick.
Okay.
Which I don't know. Again, kudos to her for teaching the guy a lesson, maybe.
Yeah. From what I heard, she was going to be charged with attempted vehicular manslaughter or something like that, or assault with a deadly weapon. She basically made her car a deadly weapon, and she absolutely did do that. The from the way I've always understood things, when you have deadly force at your fingertips, or if you're behind the wheel, I was always kind of under the impression that you're only really allowed to use that force if you feel like your life is in danger. You know what I mean? Or at least to that point. At this point, he's running. It's not even close to that. He's running away. He's definitely committing a crime.
Does it change anything that he supposedly had her purse still with him?
I don't think so, to use that amount of force. because your life.
That's a lot of force.
That is a lot of force. You know, you're not now. It's not even your life in danger. You're not even in danger of being hurt physically at all. You know what I mean?
But could she?
He's running away.
But could she have used her own physical human force to stop him?
Yeah, because that's not going to kill him. That's not going to kill him.
Well, could she have stopped him? And would she be putting her pregnancy in danger?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, here's the way that I kind of look at this. I think it's badass. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah, she needs a Batman symbol on the back.
But she is committing a crime by reacting in that way. And when you're pregnant, you have to think about the future of your family over a purse. Like, just as stupid as it is for him to risk going to jail for stealing whatever's in a purse, it's also stupid for her to like risk her future and her kid's future for whatever's in that purse. You know, because you never know. Too, he just like we talked about with the guy. Just like we talked about the guy in the yard, he could turn around and start shooting into the car. Yeah. You know, you don't know.
Well, that's why it's even more dangerous for her to be running after him.
Yeah, at all. So, you know, I mean, do I think anything should happen to her? I think she's very lucky that he wasn't seriously hurt. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, if he died, she'd be in some hot water, I feel like, even though she was reacting to a crime being committed against her.
Now, in the intro to this story, I did say she doesn't have any regrets. Well, she added in the interview, I was not going to let him get away with it. It's not right. It's not fair. Now, first of all, so she has no regrets.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This guy, I don't know if he saw her and the perpetrator, but this Asheville, it's like some backcountry redneck type area.
Yeah. I mean, he was wearing a no shirt in a Walmart parking
strike.
Yeah. You see a guy in no shirt running through a Walmart parking lot. I mean, you know. Plus, we obviously know that this guy probably doesn't have a wife or kids because, I mean, 5 months pregnant, you don't know what kind of hormones are going on.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
It's very
plausible.
Like,
I just came to pick up my pickles and ice cream for crying out loud, and you'd steal my purse.
Yeah.
All right, so just a couple states west of this Walmart incident, we also had a 32-year-old Mitchell Tate Reed in Little Rock, Arkansas, who at 4 a.m. in the morning rammed his car into a brand new Ten Commandments monument. And I was just going to say how old this monument was, and I'll say it right here. Reed plowed his vehicle into a 6-foot-tall Ten Commandments monument and knocked it over less than 24 hours after it was installed on Tuesday on the Arkansas Capitol grounds in Little Rock. A Facebook Live video from a user named Michael Reed is shot from inside a vehicle when the driver shouts freedom and drives towards the monument. The clip ends after the vehicle hits the monument. So let's take a look at pay special attention to his freedom yell.
And trials and challenges and the
oh my goodness. Freedom!
Oh, yeah. What a pathetic freedom yell. Freedom! Freedom!
Someone never saw Braveheart.
Maybe his freedom yell should have been more like this.
Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
So Mike read my mind.
I did not know he had that queued up.
Was going to be
not at all.
So one of the things that this what is his name? Michael Reed or something? Michael Tate Reed, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what he said in one of his videos, I guess before or after this incident, he said, I'm a firm believer that part of salvation is that we not only have faith in Jesus Christ, but we obey the commands of God and that we confess Jesus as Lord. But one thing I do not support is a violation of our constitutional right to have the freedom that's guaranteed to us, that guarantees us a separation of church and state, said Reed. Now, like most people, Reed has been failed by the public education system because that's what a lot of people think. They, you know, I love running into people that say, well, separation of church and state, freedom. Yeah. But the fact is, if you ever run into someone like that, the best thing to do is say, do you have a smartphone? please look for the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. I'll give you even 2 choices there, and find separation of church and state for me, and read what it has to say. Because number one, they're not going to find it. Because it's not in there.
Yep.
And most people don't even know what the separation of church and state is in reflection of. So do you know?
I thought I know, but now I'm not sure.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
I did go to public school.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You know, if you're not a person that cries about separation of church and state, then you shouldn't be held responsible to know what it is, right? Yeah. But the people that are saying separation of church and state should at least know the context of which it's used. So I'll give a little history lesson real quick here for you. So the separation of church and state is a cry back to when Thomas Jefferson was president, and the Danbury Baptist Church in Connecticut, the members wrote to Thomas Jefferson and were concerned that the government would be interfering with their religious practices, okay? So I don't have the letter from the Danbury Baptist to the president, but the Library of Congress does have the original copy of the Thomas Jefferson letter from himself as president back to the Danbury Baptist, which is really important because if you were to happen to look this up, I got into an argument probably about a decade ago now with a liberal who I was friends with, that I did a write-up when I had my blog, The Generation Y Conservative, writing about this, and she said, what you're saying isn't true. I found the letter online, and this is what it actually says. There are fake versions of this letter from Thomas Jefferson floating around the internet, rewritten to more closely resemble the fact that Thomas Jefferson wanted religion to stay out of politics, but that's not the case. And the best way to find out the truth, which matters more than agenda, is to actually go to the Library of Congress and even on their website and bring up this letter, okay? So I'm going to read you this letter pretty quickly here to go over this because I think it's very important for all of us to know so that you don't, even if you're a liberal, okay? Even if you're a liberal that believes that the separation of church and state really does come down to that religion should be kept out of politics, at least know where this is coming from. I believe that that's important. So I don't want people to live in ignorance. I don't want you to live in ignorance. You know, and you're a friend, you're a Republican, you're conservative, or whatever have you, whatever you want to claim. So this is Thomas Jefferson's. Give me 1 second here. Okay, this is Thomas Jefferson's response to the Danbury Baptists. Gentlemen, I have to read this in the most scholarly way possible because it's very different time, very different way of speaking and everything. It's almost an art, really. The affectionate sentiments of esteem and approbation which you are so good as to express towards me on behalf of the Danbury Baptist Association give me the highest satisfaction. My duties dictate a faithful and zealous pursuit of the interest of my constituents, and in proportion as they are persuaded of my fidelity to those duties, the discharge of them becomes more and more pleasing. Believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, that the legitimate powers of government reach actions only and not opinions, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declare that their legislators should, quote, make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. Adhering to this expression of the supreme will of the nation in behalf of the rights of conscience, I shall see with my sincere satisfaction the progress of those sentiments which tend to restore to man all his natural rights, convinced he has no natural right in opposition to his social duties. I reciprocate your kind prayers for the protection and blessing of the common Father and Creator of man, and tender you for yourselves and your religious association assurances of my high respect and esteem. Thomas Jefferson, written January 1st, 1802. So, number one...
Someone clearly didn't have a hangover after New Year's. I will say that.
Yeah, seriously.
He was very lucid.
So, a couple things to take away from this. When there's any argument made that the Founding Fathers were not religious men, the last line here is, I reciprocate your kind prayers for the protection and blessing of the common Father and Creator of man. Okay? So, that's one thing. The other thing I would say in regards to specifically that is tell anyone that says that to go down to Washington, D.C. and tour the monuments, because almost every single one has quotes etched by the Founding Fathers. In almost every single monument mentions God. Okay? They were very godly people. Number 2, what this letter is, and you can look it up and evaluate it more on your own. Now, I will tell you that that the line, believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, and the wall between church and state, sounds like there should be a complete separation. What I would actually encourage you to do is take a closer look at this letter, because what he's actually saying is an assurance on behalf of his presidential office that at no point in time will the governments and actions of those in Washington, D.C. or Philadelphia possibly at this time, I don't know that exact date, when Philadelphia was the capital of the colonies and everything, is an assurance that the government will not intrude on the religious practices and freedom of practices of the religious in any way, shape, or form, unless, of course, and this isn't mentioned here, but it goes without saying, that leads to someone being harmed or abused, right? If there's sacrifices of people being made by a certain religion, obviously the government's going to step in to do that. But when you look over this information here, it's an assurance on behalf of the president, President Thomas Jefferson, that the government will not interfere in religious practices. So I think that's a very important thing to understand, where this gentleman, Mr. Reed, who ran into the Ten Commandments, said that there's a separation of church and state, and is probably one of those people that in school learned that this is a constitutional thing, which is absolutely incorrect. So I thought I would clear that up.
I'm enlightened.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'm a person of faith, but I also do, like, always kind of held to the idea of separation of church and state, not for any, like, righteous reasons, but more so just I kind of feel like that idea was always kind of one of the things that kept us out of internal holy civil wars for decades and decades, like other countries kind of experience, you know what I mean?
Right.
So even though there are certain things that I believe in, I understand the point of view of not having those things in public, like especially government buildings, like a public park is something I feel like there's levels of leniency, you know what I mean? Okay. But even so, reacting the way this guy did, it's completely unacceptable, you know? I mean, if you have a grievance, there's the right ways to go about things too.
A couple things, again, in regards to specifically what we just got done talking about. There are quotes, and honestly, I forgot which founding father said this, but in regards to the argument on religion being used in politics, there are founding fathers, or at least one, that said it would be ridiculous to consider that religion would not play a part in politics, because as a nation that was founded through Judeo-Christian values, the morals and principles woven into those values are inherent in the policies that we create, because they are for the protection of and caring of our citizens.
Yep.
You know, it's unlike the type of instances that you would see with other more dangerous, violent religions with, I'll just be honest, Sharia law versus our Constitution, right? Which a lot of people are fighting for, even in countries that have their own laws, that their Sharia law would supersede the country's law itself. So that being said, yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
The founding fathers quotes, I encourage you to look into them because they're fascinating men.
Oh my God! I mean,
it's great.
It's unbelievable the future-proof knowledge that they had.
Oh, it was amazing.
At that time to come up with these ideas and how the country would run, that over 200 years later are still work. You know what I mean? And everything that's kind of like built in to prevent a downfall of an empire. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they're unbelievable.
I would also encourage you to look into how the founding fathers specifically wrote the Constitution to end slavery, although they were slave owners themselves. And that's always the biggest argument from people on the left or people of color that hold to this victimhood mentality of slavery generations before them, possibly even slavery that never existed in their personal family line because it came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that, quick history lesson, from what I have garnered in knowledge on what it was, and I forget the exact number. Is it were slaves considered 3/5 of a vote or 2/5 of a vote or something?
I don't remember.
I think it's
exactly.
3/5 of a vote, and the reason for that is because in the South, where obviously at that point in time the land was mainly used for crops and plantations and everything, there was a heavy population of slavery versus what slaves would have been owned in the North, right? So knowing this, with the future foresight that these founding fathers had, they put in about the 3/5 of a vote, that their votes, if they were to ever be able to vote, would only count as 3/5 of a vote, was actually put into place, again, from what I've learned from this, because the slave population and the slave owner population combined heavily outweighed the North, right?
Yep.
So if there was ever to be a vote given to the slaves and then a vote to end slavery, if they were given full weight in vote, the slave masters could have manipulated them through force and violence to vote against ending slavery against the North. By diminishing the value of that vote, it actually gave more leverage to the North, which wanted to end the slavery. It's pretty amazing stuff. So I encourage you to look into as much history as you can, because it's not being taught out there. You know? And again, too, here's another interesting thing. I hate to get way off topic.
No,
it's really cool
great.
stuff.
Yep.
So a lot of people, specifically against Thomas Jefferson, talk about how he owned slaves, how, what a hypocrite he is for saying that there are very good quotes out there by him saying that he wanted to end slavery, but yet he owned slaves. And people have a huge problem with this, right? Well, from my understanding, again, through the research I've done, it seems like, number one, he paid his slaves and treated them very well, on his plantation. And he actually inherited them from his uncle, I believe. Now, the reason why he never freed his own slaves is because of situations, and I don't know if 12 Years a Slave is that type of movie. Is that one where the free man up north got captured and was actually enslaved? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what
that type of situation, right? He frees his slaves from a well-intentioned situation where they're actually being taken care of, freed into a land where slavery exists and is harsher outside of his plantation, and they get recaptured by someone else and sold off into slavery under much worse conditions. And that was his fear, that the people that he had grown to care for would be savagely, harshly treated under another plantation rule. So it's interesting stuff. Once you start looking into history, because they don't tell you these things. Any other things before we keep on going to a little bit more on that?
No, it's just like you said, I could read up on the founding fathers and basically just the systems that they put in place for hours. It's crazy.
Great miniseries, John Adams miniseries.
Okay, yeah, I saw part of it. I didn't finish
great.
it though.
Yeah, you have to watch that too. All of the separation issues aside with this Reed character, what exactly does Reed take issue with on the Ten Commandments monument? Is it honoring your parents, not killing people, not committing adultery, not coveting others' belongings, or not stealing or lying? If this guy is of clear mind and a good person, which I am led to believe he is not, then like most people, I would assume that almost all good people agree with at least 60% of what the commandments stand for. Okay? It's the other 40% that lead these extremist wackos that protest it in all forms to remove it from public buildings, and that act like if they or their children walk past them and read the first 4 commandments, they will be hypnotized or magically indoctrinated into becoming a Christian.
One can only hope.
Which is funny, because they are usually the first ones to jump to the defense of any other religion or social issue, to give it a public face and cry out for the First Amendment when people speak against it. Pro-choice clubs in public schools, Muslim foot baths in public spaces. So, again, it always seems to be... Was it you that was on the podcast that we were talking about how Christians are so easy to bash because we don't fight back?
Yep.
You know, it's not that we don't have anything to fight back with. It's just that, unlike the religion of Sharia law, we're not going to lob your head off for criticizing us.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're not going to throw you off a building, you know? We're not going to just put you in a cage and light you on fire.
So it's a backwards thinking mentality of this whole thing where, you know, you would think, oh, well, the religion that's very peaceful and has good principles behind it, at least, we would want to criticize less. But no, they want to criticize it more because there's no fighting back.
Yeah.
It's so backwards, you know?
It's unbelievable.
All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Moving away from religion and into science, the two that battle often with each other, we head back to the despicable character that is Bill Nye. Except, while we have beat him up over his Netflix show, his sex junk video, ridiculous attacks on Christianity, and his ego that honestly rivals the scientific measurements of our Milky Way galaxy, this topic is actually more in relation to one of his show's writers. Supposed comedian Marcela Arguello, is that how you say it? You're Portuguese.
Arguello?
Arguello? Okay. One of the entertainers hired by Bill, I Play a Scientist on TV Nye, to help write for his Netflix program Bill Nye Saves the World, recently took to Twitter in the aftermath of the attempted assassination of GOP congressman the other week at the baseball practice for the yearly Congressional nonpartisan charity game to throw in her 2 cents about just how worthless GOP members are and reinforce her obvious pro-choice mentality that obviously lasts well past the womb stages. Her tweet read, "If a few old-ass conservative white men have to die in order to get the gun control issue discussed, then I'm willing to take that risk." Write that one down in the history books as another example of the loving and tolerant left.
Yeah.
Is it any wonder that we have seen the transition of Bill Nye between his Bill Nye the Science Guy show and his new public persona that is seen in his Netflix show Bill Nye Saves the World, when he surrounds himself with people and writers like this? We talk all the time about how he has just shattered our image of what he used to be.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's... You know, this... Well, I have a point, but I think it'll fit in more when we get into the Trump's tweets.
Okay, so bring Bill Nye back into it?
Not Bill Nye, but when she's talking about, you know, killing... If we have to... If this will bring up the gun issue, then some old ass white guy's dying. I'm fine with that, or anything like that. Because it fits here too. So one of the things that I saw in response to Trump's tweets about the Morning Joe people was some guy was saying that you know, it's talk like this, it's rhetoric like this that will garner a response where something serious happens, and then Trump is one who's to blame because he's the one egging on his base. I mean, is the irony not like just unbelievable? I mean, her acting like this, and it's not just that, it's the constant barrage of hate thrown at the president over the past few months, egged someone on to go and shoot at congressmen while they were practicing for a charity baseball game. And they can't see this. They can't put two and two together that they are guilty of what they're saying that Trump would be guilty of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Were you on the last podcast where I talked about the Shakespeare play? Was that you? Or
yeah.
Okay, so I went through the Shakespeare play and I did include the video on the final podcast of Obama being part of that play too. Mm-hmm. There's pictures, not video.
Yep.
But being Caesar and being assassinated. Mm-hmm. You have Madonna saying she fantasizes about blowing up the White House. You have Kathy Griffin holding his head up. You have just politicians left and right. You have Hollywood stars talking about how he needs to be... Johnny Depp just said that we need another John Wilkes Booth.
How long's it been since an actor's assassinated the president?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I would do it, but I would need some rum.
Yeah.
But it's an endless stream barrage of just angry, bitter, hateful rhetoric from the left over the last year specifically. Mm-hmm. I would say since the primaries for both parties. Mm-hmm. And I'm not surprised by that either, because both sides, Trump and Hillary Clinton, both tapped into the vein of the American people of anger.
Yep.
And it's an easy emotion to fall victim to.
Yeah.
It's you know, happiness, laughing is contagious, but it's fleeting, right? You know, you have to really work hard to be happy, which is sad.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to become angry and bitter about things. I very clearly said, after this attempted assassination, I spent the whole day like itchy, you know, really pissed off, knowing immediately within the 2 hours or so that this guy was a Bernie Sanders volunteer for the campaign, that he was posting political messages and everything. He was egged on by Rachel Maddow and everything, and I held back as much as possible. Like, you can't just go out there and blame it on these people. There are psychos on both sides, you know, and we certainly have them on ours too. But you know, it's ever since the inception of the Tea Party, they've been saying, as soon as something violent happens, well, you know, it's not clear yet, but it looks like it could be a Tea Party member. Yeah. And it's like, what? You have no evidence for that. The Gabby Giffords incident where she was shot by Jared Lautner, right? They said immediately, has to be a Tea Party member. And it's Sarah Palin that puts these targets on a map that instigate it. Yeah. And here it turned out to be an obsessive psycho Democrat who had voted Democrat the whole time, that had been stalking her, right? So it just gets to be a little ridiculous with all this stuff. This is the rhetoric, as you were saying, that leads to crazy things. And we've said it before that Bill Nye has become a creepy, angry, bitter, and most of all hateful person over the last couple years, a true spitting example of the left that has preached for so long to treat each other nicely, and then when you disagree with him or argue his points, he turns into a bitter bastard who wants to shut down the opinion of anyone who dares to disagree or counter his arguments. So, again, I'm not surprised that this is turned out to be a writer on this show. Yeah. Because, you know, chicken before the egg, you know, which came first, I think, was Bill Nye a bitter person that believed in the type of things that she's saying, that he sought someone like that out? Or has he been influenced by the writing of the show to get into a certain mindset of that he's been following through
It's probably a mix. It's probably a mix of both. He probably kind of feels that way, and now he's just getting more thrown at him. And it's not surprising, you know. I mean, he's not qualified to be a scientist. Why would he be qualified to be a writer and producer of a television show? So there's got to be other people feeding this, you know, as far as writing the scripts and things like that. So,
okay. Oh, good. Good. I love this. Okay. So here is something to get off a little bit off topic and get a good laugh in today. Something that was just released this week, I believe, and it'll put a smile on your face. So let's take a look at a video. Oh no, where is it? Oh, here we go. All right, so let's take a look at this video that was released this week that's a little humorous for you conservatives out there.
These cuts are blood money. People will die. Let's be very clear. Senate Republicans are paying for tax cuts for the wealthy with American lives.
People need kidneys, it's sad but decreed, yet the senator's hoarding one more than she needs. I offer this bill and I hope you'll vote aye, unless of course you just want people to die. Traffic deaths have many crying with fear. Over 30,000 people are dying each year. This modest change I propose must be applied, unless of course you just want people to die. Alcohol deaths are exceeding comparisons. Black people, white people, Native Americans. We need to ban alcohol. It can't be denied, unless of course you just want people to die. Murders are bad. They have no defenders, yet many are committed by repeat offenders. I say lifetime in prison, whatever the crime, unless of course you just want people to die. I don't have a bill or a groan to detail. I just need a short clip for my donor email. Tim, there's blood on your hands. You want people to die. That good? Cool. Tim, dinner at 5? Yeah, the car deaths I mentioned are terrible stuff. Doesn't seem one seatbelt is ever enough. You must vote for my act so that fewer will cry, unless, of course, you just want people to die. The carbs, the container, we cannot ignore. Whipped cream's killing more people than ever before. This bill would be passed and be ratified if those people there didn't want people to die. Why not weigh all the costs, the effects, the results, empathize with each other as if we were adults, use our brains to craft arguments, not vilify, see that freedom's a trade-off.
You want people to die!
I tried. Crossing the street is incredibly tough. People look left and right, but rarely look up. My bill would mandate that.
So that's a fun little video that they put together. But is it far-fetched and out of the realm of possibility that someone besides Senator Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren would say something like this and try to push this alarmist agenda that Republicans just want you to die? Is it out of the realm of possibility that there are other people out there that would want to do that? Well, I would actually point you to a little bit further in the past with Representative Alan Grayson, who this video seems to be the biggest parody of. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You may recall that a few weeks ago, President Obama came to this chamber and he addressed the chamber on health care before a joint session of the House and the Senate. During that session, I was privileged to be here, and I saw my colleagues on the far side of the aisle, the Republicans, waving pieces of paper during his speech. And I was wondering what they were. I couldn't imagine. It almost seemed like they wanted President Obama's autograph. I just didn't get it. I heard from one of my colleagues that this is what they called the Republican health care plan. I went over after the speech was over. I picked up a copy that was lying down on the Republican side, and it turns out that the Republicans' health care plan was a blank piece of paper. I inquired further, trying to find out exactly what the Republicans' health care plan is, and it's my duty and pride tonight to be able to announce exactly what the Republicans plan to do for health care in America. It's this. Very simply, it's a very simple plan. Here it is, the Republicans' health care plan for America. Don't get sick. That's right, don't get sick. If you have insurance, don't get sick. If you don't have insurance, don't get sick. If you're sick, don't get sick. Just don't get sick. That's what the Republicans have in mind for you, America. That's the Republicans' health care plan. But I think that the Republicans understand that that plan isn't always going to work. It's not a foolproof plan. So the Republicans have a backup plan in case you do get sick. If you get sick in America, this is what the Republicans want you to do. If you get sick, America, the Republican health care plan is this. Die quickly. That's right. The Republicans want you to die quickly if you get sick. Now, the Democrats have a different plan. The Democrats say that if you have health insurance, we're going to make it better. If you don't have health insurance, we're going to provide it to you. If you can't afford health insurance, then we'll help you to afford health insurance. So America gets to decide. Do you want the Democratic plan or do you want the Republican plan? Remember, the Republican plan, don't get sick. And if you do get sick, die quickly. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Is that not the basically parodied version of that? You know? And let's go back in time here. What was that, 2009 that it said in the beginning of the video? So Alan Grayson is saying that he, through the Democrats' health care bill, that they were going to make it more affordable. Is that what turned out to be the case?
Mine doubled. I remember.
Not only that, if you also remember, they spent $1 billion on the health exchange website.
Yep.
And it didn't work for months.
Oh, I remember that.
If not over a year. And then they spent, I believe, another like $500 million or something like that to fix the website through the same people that screwed it up in the first place. Wouldn't you? This is the way government works. How do you expect them to get your health care right if they can't get jobs done right? First of all, there's no way that a website should cost that much. No matter how big or like intricate it is, right?
It's $1 billion that could have gone towards the wall.
Yeah. But the fact is that the government doesn't try to spend responsibly. Right? They bid it out. And I don't even know if they bid it out. I would imagine that they do. That's typical for governments and even local type governments and everything as well. But who the heck would pay $1 billion for a website? And then on top of that, when they screw it up so bad that it doesn't work, something this massive, go back to them and have them try to fix it. You know? So it's just the government allocating your resources in the most inefficient way possible, as always.
It's just one of the reasons that people wanted a businessman to be president.
Yeah, wouldn't you think? So, yeah, I found that interesting, especially as soon as I saw the video. You know, people say I have a great memory of bringing up things in the past that politically happened and everything. Because I always talk about, well, you know, you may say this, but at the same time, don't forget that your side did this back in the day, too.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that with Joe Biden in a little bit.
Yeah, and there was, I don't know if you might want to link to this in the description of the YouTube video, but Steven Crowder did a great video about the healthcare plan. I don't know if you saw it, but, you know, all the Democrats are out now. This bill was written in secret. It was written behind closed doors. It was written in the dark of night. And yes, it was. And yes, we do want things to be more transparent. But, man, he pulled up clips of it was the same exact thing the Republicans were yelling about Obamacare. It was written in the dark of night. They voted on it at 1 a.m. while everyone was sleeping. No one knew what it was. And then they closed it with the classic clip of Nancy Pelosi. Well, you know, we have to pass the bill so we can find out what's in it.
It was his podcast, not mine? Because that was last week what I did.
Yes, he put that in there, too.
Because, not only that, but you're talking about how... specifically, I was referencing Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who I've made my podcast multiple times now for the things that he's been attacking on healthcare, being a complete hypocrite. And he, so it was off of that. And he was saying that how fair is it that his constituents get only 3 days to read this bill before it gets passed, and that his constituents have every right as the Republican constituents out there. How dare the Republicans do this and everything? Well, the main portion of Obamacare was about 2,500 pages long in regards to the healthcare bill itself, not including the regulations and other things that went into it. The regulations bumped that up to 20,000 pages in this bill. They actually have to use a hand truck to cart this bill around, right? So are you telling me that all of our senators read through that bill back in 2009 before it was passed, before Obamacare was passed?
Nobody read
BS,
it.
You know? So he's a complete hypocrite on that. Number two...
I find it hard to believe anybody wrote it. Never mind read it.
Oh, this has been in the works for decades. Yeah, this is a compiling of decades of information to be ready at the opportune moment when they had control over everything to jump on it, you know? And... again, you know, you're right. The Republicans said the same thing back in the day as the Democrats are saying today. And my point was, it shows hypocrisy on both sides, right?
Oh, yeah. That's definitely true.
The Democrats shouldn't have done it back then. And because of that, they shouldn't be hypocritical and complaining now. But at the same time, the Republicans shouldn't be doing what they're doing now behind closed doors if they had such a problem with it with the Democrats back then.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical on both sides.
Crowder made the same point, but at the end he said, but Democrats, you did it first and you did it worse. And
it screwed up our whole system.
Yep.
Real bad. And so another interesting statistic that's been coming out and that the Democrats have been using a lot in regards to this healthcare bill is that by the year 2025 or something like that, if this was passed, 23 million people would lose their health insurance. But they don't take into account that the majority, and I'm guessing well over 80% in this case, of the people that would lose their health insurance don't want the health insurance in the first place. There is a large portion and percentage of young people that opt out of having health insurance because they believe that in the prime of their lives they're not going to need anything but some sort of catastrophic type insurance coverage, right? And so, conservatively speaking, I would say 80% of that 23 million would opt out of the insurance anyway. Whereas the reason why they would be losing their insurance is because Obamacare forced it down the throats of everyone that you had to buy the insurance, whether you wanted it or not, which is not a capitalist-free system. Right? And throw capitalists out of there. Okay, I know that the left doesn't like buzzwords like capitalism or anything like that, or free markets, but you're pro-choice, and you're not giving people a choice to have or not have health care.
Yep.
Right? And that's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, this is amazing. So let's talk about Illinois.
Oh, one thing real quick. Another crazy thing that he brought up in regards to YouTube in general. Apparently, the clips of Republicans complaining about Obamacare being done behind closed doors, they said they had to dig and dig and dig to find that stuff, and you just couldn't find it, and it was grainy old videos. But on the front trending page of YouTube now is John Oliver talking about healthcare, Bill Maher talking about healthcare, Seth Meyers talking about healthcare, Stephen Colbert talking about, so that's like the hypocrisy there too.
Single day when I go to check the statistics of my YouTube channel, or open up YouTube or anything like that, in my suggestions, it's always a Stephen Colbert clip, and they're all different, but they're all bashing Trump.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, Stephen Colbert's Late Show was tanking in the ratings before he started attacking Trump, and he owes his career, literally, I hate saying that, but he owes it to Trump being in office. Because if Hillary Clinton was in office, his show would not be existing right now.
Yeah,
because he'd be kissing her ass, excuse my French or whatever it is, but he would be kissing her rear end, and there would be no comedy involved. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be. He's not funny as it is. No. At least Jimmy Fallon has fun with everybody. His show is an entertaining show.
Yeah, and Jimmy Kimmel, he kind of goes left a lot of times too, but he's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny,
Yeah, he does the man on the street stuff, and
it's
a lot of those man on the street things rip into Democrats that don't know anything, because he asks them questions about, did you see what this person said, the latest thing that they said, which
I
they
agree.
never said.
That's a Trump quote.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, exactly.
But and it's also, YouTube is not looking at what you watch and what you produce as a creator on YouTube and saying, oh, here are suggestions that are relevant to that. They're just saying, oh, you like politics a lot. Here's our politics. We're just going to shove it down your throat. You know what I mean? So,
which brings up another interesting story. Google is being sued.
$2.7 billion.
A lot of money, because their shopping preferences come up over cheaper options on their website, right? Now, I have mixed feelings about this, because no one's forcing people to use Google search engine. They have they don't have it. I wouldn't even say they have a monopoly on the market. There are other search engines out there, so they're not the only ones in town. But they've done their work to become the search engine that is used en masse, right? And because of that, they should be able to put whatever the heck they want for the search results to show up. Maybe put no, they don't have to do anything. That is their website. And as liberal as they are in a free market system, your options are going to be in those search results somewhere. But they have the opportunity, and I would even say the business mentality that they should, to have their search results show up first for that type of stuff.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like Google could kind of be like, listen, I created this amazing site that it doesn't matter if it shows up on the 8th page or on the 1st page, that your tiny little website will show up when someone searches for this, that, or the other thing. You should be thanking me. But yes, Bing is out there. Microsoft, I'll tell you where to send the check.
This show is sponsored by. Anything else on that at all before we get to Illinois?
I think we covered it.
Crazy.
Covered it pretty well.
Okay, so let's talk about Illinois and their budget crisis. That is a prime example of liberal progressive policies applied en masse. First of all, I love the information that I found on Illinois. What I did was I used Google. Fair warning.
Sorry, Microsoft.
Searched for how long has Illinois been under... I forget the exact parameters, but basically I searched for which party has been in control the most over the past few decades of Illinois, right? And these are the exact things that I found. Illinois is a Democratic stronghold in presidential elections and one of the, quote, big three Democratic states alongside California and New York. It is considered one of the most Democratic states in the nation in presidential contests. Illinois' electoral college votes have gone towards a Democratic presidential candidate for the past 7 elections, and its congressional makeup tilts heavily Democratic. However, it has a long history of competitive statewide elections and has elected a number of Republicans in recent years, including Governors Jim Edgar, George Ryan, and the current one, Bruce Rauner. So it comes as a surprise only to the left that decades of bad progressive policies would add up to a financial crisis in regards to the state budget. A top financial official just warned that 100% of the state's monthly revenue will be eaten up by court-ordered payments. Governor Rauner is calling a special session of the Democratic-led General Assembly in a bid to pass what he hopes will be the first full budget package in almost 3 years. Governor Rauner said, "We're like a banana republic," which is what he said earlier this month after the General Assembly failed yet again to pass a budget package by the regular session deadline. He also said, "We can't manage our money." But the problems are years in the making and caused in large part by the state's poorly funded pension system, which led Moody's Investors Services to downgrade the credit rating to the lowest of any state. The state currently has $130 billion in unfunded pension obligations alone, and a backlog of unpaid bills worth $13 billion. Reports have suggested that the state could be the first to attempt to declare Chapter 9 bankruptcy. But under the law, that's impossible unless Congress gets involved, and we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit as well, because guess what? It's not Illinois that has to worry about this problem only. Some have suggested that it would take 100% of the state's budget to pay for the pension liability alone. Okay? So this is where pensions have gone. This has been an ongoing problem. It's a lot like Social Security, really, right? Our parents better start collecting Social Security as soon as they possibly can. Because the system, because politicians in the past have taken money out of the Social Security system or fund to pay for other crap that they recklessly spend on, hint, hint, $1 billion on a stupid website that failed, right? They've been taking from our Social Security money, and then it becomes a pyramid scheme, right? In order for our parents to be able to collect Social Security, they rely on our generation and the generations to come to pay into the system because the money's just not there anymore. So, like these pensions that were always promised and kicking the can down the road by these politicians, it's not, the money's not there, right? So they've made promises to people that they can't fulfill. And it's the same things that happens with teachers, retirement funds and everything, which is why you're starting to see a lot more states or even places within states, counties and everything, moving towards, instead of the 401c or something like that. No, is it 401k? No, okay.
401k is a retirement plan.
Moving more to that instead of the 403b or c or something like that, which is the teacher retirement. Because you're better off putting that money into a system that could possibly fluctuate back and forth depending on the stock market and everything, than rely on a fund that isn't there. You know what I mean? So here's a problem with this, though. I want it to be known that this is an Illinois issue, but that doesn't make it an American issue. Because if a state fails and heads towards bankruptcy, they're going to get bailed out by the rest of the United States, which leaves not those taxpayers that made crappy, I almost said a curse word, crappy choices in electing officials and politicians that have pissed away the money in their budget towards liabilities and stuff that they can no longer cover, and the bad choices of the Illinois people and their politicians. It's going to fall squarely on the shoulders of the rest of us as taxpayers to bail them out. And what happens when you bail out someone, right? Do they learn their lesson?
No.
When they don't have to be the ones that have to go through the hitting rock bottom. It's the same thing with any therapy, right? Or detox and everything. If someone is heading towards rock bottom, but they don't hit rock bottom, and you detox that person from alcohol or whatever have you, before they hit rock bottom and realize through the shakes and everything that they have to go through how bad they really have it, the likelihood is they're going to head back into that habit again. Yep. It's the same thing with politics and being bailed out of things. I would even say the same thing about the car industry.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
this is the whole, giving someone a fish as opposed to teaching them how to fish argument. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep. So. But Illinois, in my mind, which it won't happen, should be required to hit rock bottom and bail themselves out, get out the buckets, and start scooping out the water. You know what I mean? And taking care of this themselves before anything happens in regards to the rest of the taxpayers. Because if they don't learn the hard way, then not only does Illinois not learn that they shouldn't be doing this crap and continuing to elect politicians that lead them down this road, but it also sets a precedent for other states, like California, which is having a horrible budget crisis of their own, like New York, that's always teetering on the edge of a budget crisis. Big surprise, the top 3 Democrat states, right? You know, but that's why Republicans... That's why our side is always shown as a side that doesn't care, because we require people to learn things the hard way so that you don't repeat your mistakes. You know, and that's not the liberal way. The liberal way is, well, the government should be taking care of us in every aspect of our lives. So if it was up to the progressive left, we would all be working for free and just have everything paid for. You know, and I don't want to live in that world, because I'll tell you what, I want to enjoy what I want to enjoy and not enjoy what's
rationed out to you.
Here's looking at you, Goody. What Supreme Leader Big Bird?
I was thinking about it too.
Says I have to enjoy. You know what I mean? So, anything else on that before we switch topics?
It's conservatives do care. We care about people's ability to take care of themselves. I mean, imagine if everyone just took care of themselves, then no one would have to, be in these situations to begin with. And it's pretty sad that if that were to happen, like you said, that it would be red states bailing out Illinois. You know what I mean? I feel bad for Republican voters in Illinois, because they're living it constantly. You know?
And apparently, from the research I found, in regards to the leadership over the past couple decades. I mean, we're talking 7 presidential elections. It's been under Democratic control. So that's decades, man.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
I mean,
but they said that despite it always leaning Democrat, there's a lot of heated, contentious elections within Illinois for representatives and everything, that there is battles. It's not just pull the lever.
Because this is also the thing, too. When you have states that have big, highly populated cities, you have a lot of people in those states that do have a different set of values that don't live in those cities, that are basically just being left behind. I mean, it happens all the time with Pennsylvania. I mean, it was a miracle that Pennsylvania this year, I think it's the first time since I've been voting that it went red, you know? Because it's, everything's controlled by Pittsburgh and Philly. You know, and everyone in between is just kind of like.
Is that what you're saying? Like, it's the Electoral College that
kind of
saves us from that kind of stuff? And I mean, if we were up to popular vote, it would,
New York, San Francisco, L.A., and Miami would determine the election every single year.
And Illinois, Chicago.
Because you got people. I mean, just in these high rises, just living on top of each other, so it's so densely populated, and they all have this same, set of values, I guess, whatever you want to call
rules,
beliefs, rules, and that would just dictate everything, So,
the Reich,
Plus, I mean. Who's having 7-8 kids too? Then you have these cities that are just
Well, I wouldn't put that so much on liberals. I would say it's more religious right that are like, kids are God's gift, which they are. But I stopped at 3 because
I stopped at 2. Factory's closed.
We have enough to cover our chores in the house.
Yeah, right.
So before we go too deeply into the controversies this week surrounding President Trump, which if you are watching right now or just tuning in, Guess what? I'm not going to side with Trump too much on this week's controversies in all cases, so you'll be happy to see that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll leave it at that. I'm accused of... I can't win. I can't win with my liberal friends, and I can't win with my conservative friends because my liberal friends are like, "Oh, you just toe the party line," and my conservative friends are like, "You shouldn't bash Trump. He's doing the best he can. He's the next Reagan." I'm like, dude, come on. Like, I don't have an agenda. Okay, the truth is the truth, and I have always said if we don't hold our own parties more accountable than the opposing party, then we fall victim to the next election looking like hypocrites when we criticize them for something that our own president did in his time. You know what I mean? So, I've mentioned to you before, I'm partially Italian at least. I like to consider fully Italian, but it's not provable. But
you're not Catholic, so you're not fully Italian. Let's keep it.
But I always find it funny when you look at the old school Italian cooks and stuff like that. You know the old way of finding out if your pasta's cooked, right? Yeah. You throw it against the wall to see if it sticks, right? Well, I'm seeing that a lot with the media right now, right? And it seems like the mentality of the media is, let's just take absolutely everything that Trump is doing and try to make it a controversy, throw it at the wall, see what sticks with the public, and let them just create this massive uproar about it surrounding those issues then. And then sit back and report on those stories and blow them up even further. You know what I mean? So, case in point, it's apparently a big story this week that Trump sexually harassed an Irish reporter. Did you see this? That was covering his phone call with Ireland's newly elected Prime Minister, I believe. Forgive me on this one. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar to congratulate him.
Sounded good until the end.
Varadkar. You read it. You read it right there.
All right. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar.
What?
Varadkar?
That's exactly what I said. So he called him to congratulate him on his recent election win. Well, Trump remarked, "Well, we have a lot of your Irish press watching us. They're just now leaving the room." Let's take a look at the video from there that the left is taking issue with when he apparently started, quote, flirting inappropriately with a reporter. So let's take a look at that real quick here.
Well, we have a lot of your Irish press watching us. They're just now leaving the room. And where are you from? Go ahead. Come here. Come here. Where are you from? We have all of this beautiful Irish press. Where are you from?
I'm from RTE News.
Katrina Perry. Katrina Perry. She has a nice smile on her face, so I bet she treats you well.
I'm sorry to cut back here. I'm sure you were waiting for something that was very controversial that he said, but it was that he said she has a nice smile.
Yeah.
So
it would kind of be borderline creepy if he said she has a nice smile and a face.
Yeah.
But no, he said she has a nice smile on her face.
Yeah. She must treat you well, which is in direct response to he calls out the media for not treating him well in our country. Yeah. Right? So if we're going to focus on the nice smile portion, like I hate to be vulgar with things, and I'm going to try to do a roundabout way of how this would be vulgar.
Just jump in.
But if he had said she has a nice smile, I can imagine what she uses it for.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's completely different. He paid her a freaking compliment.
Yeah. It's not like he went,
Yeah.
she has a nice smile on her face.
Oh, my word. But, so now if you say someone has a nice smile, it's dang near close to being raped, according to the left. Which should be an outrage to women that have actually been sexually abused or harassed, that we have gotten to the point where making a mountain out of a molehill has caused this. What's going to happen is sexual allegations of misconduct and abuse and rape and stuff like that are going to be basically diminished in value as an accusation by crying wolf all the time.
Yep.
You know, by making everything out to be akin to the equality of that type of level of abuse.
Yep.
You are diminishing the actual horrific nature of those cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the whole like campus rape culture, and 1 in 4 people suffer some kind of sex. It's crazy.
That's not
I mean,
true.
they're even talking about how if 2 people get drunk and mess around, and then you later are regretful of that, you were raped?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
No. That's not how it works,
And
people.
if that's the case, why is it only the female that can claim rape?
Yeah, absolutely. And
because if they were both drunk and consenting at the time, and
what if they both claimed rape at each other?
Yeah,
that'd be so great.
Oh, the liberals.
He raped me. No, you raped me, and they're both being sincere, like not even messing around. Just cancels itself out. Just go home.
No, I think the progressive left would start like fritzing with sparks coming out. Trying to figure out. Well, no, the female wins.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, they would start checking off the privilege points, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, are you white?
Yes.
Okay, that's one mark against you.
Yep.
Okay, are you a man? Okay, that's another mark.
Do you
against
live in a Republican state?
You're straight. Okay, that's another mark against you.
Cisgender, huh?
There is a video I have to show you. I should have brought it up because this would have been something fantastic to talk about on the show. It's called the Modern Education, SHUN. I just got to show it to you. Maybe something we can talk about next week. It's fantastic. Okay, but it's
he's already invited himself back for next week.
Whenever I'm back again.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. But yeah, you got to see it, and I'll show it to you later. But yeah, it's the whole, you know, it really does devalue actual sexual assault victims that are trying to make a claim.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, as always, this reminds me of hypocrisy.
Oh, of course.
I'm just being honest.
I always say that if people really are that outraged about rape, which they should be, the number one place they should be protesting is outside of male prisons. Because the highest percentage of a rape population victim are male inmates. So take your protests if you really mean it. If you really care about it, that's where they should be picketing.
What would you say is the left's favorite president, possibly of all times, but certainly modern times?
Barack Obama.
Okay. So this guy says that this this female reporter has a nice smile, right?
Mm-hmm. Atrocious.
Well, the left seems to forget that some things did happen in the Obama administration too that wasn't covered very much by the news. But if you would like to see the look on First Lady Michelle Obama's face in these pictures, right now I'm bringing up that the President Obama and his wife, First Lady Michelle Obama, went to Nelson Mandela's funeral. And he was sitting next to and flirting heavily with the Danish Prime Minister there. And in the upper left corner there, you can see President Obama and the Danish Prime Minister and this other Prime Minister on her other side taking a selfie at the funeral. But the look of disgust in almost every single picture here on Michelle Obama's face as look at how close he is to the Danish Prime Minister.
Oh, they're yucking it up.
Compared to, look at the space between him and her, and him and his wife Michelle. Look at that lower right-hand corner picture right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are like, it almost looks like Obama could have his arm around the Danish Prime Minister right there. And Michelle, you could fit someone else between them. And she is just outraged by this, right?
And I even want to go on record as saying that just based on those pictures, I don't think he's doing anything wrong. Just like Trump didn't do anything wrong by saying that well, not in a, I mean that in a flirtatious like way. You know, this should not be going on at a funeral of someone as respected as Nelson. That's what I meant.
Okay.
But just if you take away that they're at a funeral, he's just talking to someone, they're taking pictures. You know, that's not, he's not harassing her.
No.
But the fact
Michelle
that
sure is pissed.
oh yeah, and she has a right to be.
She looks like she does. Yeah. She looks like she has a mouthful of lemons.
Yeah. But
That's pretty crazy.
to say that Trump is harassing this Irish reporter is crazy. It's just another thing that they want to. They just look for anything, like you said, throwing it against the wall, see what sticks, to make him a horrible
Don't
person.
take away all my fun. I have more examples.
Oh, okay. All right, let's do it.
So,
I was going to say, you didn't even bring up Clinton yet.
That goes unsaid, basically. But here's the other thing, too. In regards to... Let me bring up these pictures again here. In regards specifically to these pictures right here, and you talked about funeral etiquette, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Flirting is one thing. Okay? If you watched Wedding Crashers, it's actually one of the best ways to pick up a chick.
Yeah, funeral crashers.
Funeral. Yeah, I'll throw in a wedding every now and then, but funerals are insane. The chicks are so horny, it's not even fair. It's like fishing with dynamite. Horny? Yeah, crazy horny. At a funeral? Grief is nature's most powerful aphrodisiac.
But that being said, if you... There was recent reports and news stories by, I forget who it was. It was over the last couple months that there's a disturbing new trend of people taking selfies at funerals. Right?
It's weird, man.
Well, there's your leader by example, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you wonder, well, where do they get these things? Well, I can point to someone pretty high up there too. You know what I mean?
If they can do it at Nelson Mandela's funeral, I mean, I'm sure Uncle John won't mind too much.
I mean, all these pictures and seeing everything that's going on there had to be so much time that the president himself just didn't care about what was really going on in this funeral service for a very highly respected
human
rights
being
leader. You know what I mean? So I just find that pretty interesting. Okay, so let's see here. You know, I just recently read the story about the fad on selfies and everything. But where was the press? Now, we're not talking about sexist things here, but where was the press for all the stupid racial stuff that Joe Biden said? If you haven't seen this, you're gonna love it. All right. Here we go.
Oh, God.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking. Oh, gigantic.
Okay? All right.
Oh, my God.
I remember things like these.
Yeah.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
You know what I would love? I would love just those quotes, right? No video, just those quotes given to the ladies of The View and tell them that Trump said it last week.
Yes. Oh,
my God. They would lose it. Lose it. And then tell them, no, wait, actually, Joe Biden said it.
Here's the clip.
That would be amazing.
I would love to be in, I want to get big enough that I'm invited onto The View as a guest. Jebediah Bell, just... sit me right next to you. And Whoopi Goldberg. I want to sit between you and Whoopi Goldberg. I love Whoopi. I hate her policies. I hate the way that her mentality, this victimhood mentality and everything. But I love Whoopi. And I got to give credit where credit's due. As stupid as it is, as some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth, she is an example, a symbol of females that have made it.
Yep.
Right? Not only females that have made it, but a black female that made it in a comedy scene that was dominated by men as a minority female.
Yep.
Like she was, back in her days, it was her and Robin Williams and a couple other ones that lit up stages. Yep. I have a high amount of respect for her career, right?
Yeah.
Not for what she says now on the
film. For her political viewpoints.
Yeah.
You gotta find a way to separate like the person between what they think. The one that I really can't stand is Joy Behar. She's the one that just horrible. I just can't even deal. I can't even deal with her.
So I was YouTube searching for other creepy things that Joe Biden has said in regards to being sexually towards women and everything. And because there's a couple. There was just one recently that happened where this black woman came up to him and he's like up on her. He starts kissing her on this is what he's doing. He's like going off on her face. I'm like, this is, I mean, Trump in comparison. This guy is super creepy. Right?
Yeah.
I came across one other video.
Okay.
And the video itself is about 6 minutes long of short clips like this of one meeting as people were coming up to take pictures with him. And I cut this 6-minute clip down to about a minute. Okay. So I don't know exactly where it ends because I just said 1 minute and that's it. But take a look at just some of the creepy freaking things that Joe Biden has said to people in one meeting alone.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, what's the story?
How are you? Good to see you. I'm Joe Biden. Come here. You just put a smile. God, let me get in here. Come on, sis, get in here.
You got $1 million smile. There's a lot to smile about today.
You betcha.
Good looking bunch. Spread your legs. You're going to be frisked. I want you next to me. I want you next to me. How are you guys? Good to see you. Come on, let's do this. All right. You're so special. You got a doubleheader, your daughter. Leave him there, will you? You got a smile that lights up the room. Your smile lights up the room. You got a smile that lights up the whole chamber.
Thank you.
Mom, you come by me. Mom, how are you?
Great.
You look like his sister. Get over here. Look, in my household, it's real simple. There's mothers, and then there's something else, and something else, and there's mothers, and then there's mothers. Come on, Mom. Take a chance.
Oh my God.
Okay, so 3 times in a row they show him saying, you have a smile that lights up the room. Which is exactly what Trump just said.
Oh my God.
Right? And on top of that, it may have been hard for you to hear, so when I put together the YouTube version, you can really turn up the volume and everything. But when some of these women were walking up to him, he's like, God, good Lord, look at you. Like, he's like really laying into them about their beauty.
If that was Trump, oh my God.
Oh, the media world would be losing their ever-loving crap over that stuff.
Unbelievable.
I mean, there was one where he's like, oh, you got the double header here, your wife and your daughter. Like, he said that to the father.
Oh, God.
You had him saying, that, what was the one? He's like, oh, the whole group comes up. He's like, spread your legs. You're going to get frisked.
What?
Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, and then the creepy way he stroked Mom's face.
That old woman's face. It was, I would have been like, oh, gosh. My skin is melting.
Oh, God, man. It's unbelievable.
But talk about an example of what they should be going after, right? Did you see that stuff before?
I've seen a little bit. Yeah.
Of that specific
Not
meeting?
that specific meeting.
Okay,
no.
there are more out there, trust me. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to make it pretty short. It wasn't. Anyway. Okay, so... Well, there you go. Here is exactly where I said. I said, do I even need to mention the multiple rape allegations on Bill Clinton and the fact that Hillary Clinton, the most recent Democratic presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, used the FBI to dig up dirt on those rape victims to silence them into shutting up on it.
I mean, that to me is just as bad, if not worse, as far as how to treat women.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. To dig that up, to degrade them, treat them like garbage. All to defend what I believe is a loveless marriage, strictly for political power, arrangement. Yep. I mean, it's disgusting. It really is.
Yeah, I said, listen, the whole grab her by the comment by Trump that surfaced, the video that surfaced, is disgusting.
I don't even care, honestly.
It is disgusting.
Yeah, but whatever. Two dudes talking, not knowing they're being recorded. My wife, my wife, kind of gets together with a friend who is pretty on the left, and and
I was like, you better watch what you say.
Yeah, no, and
I'm the one that's apologizing for my New Jersey comments. You're about to step into some ground where you're apologizing to her.
And Tracy's pretty politically agnostic. Like, she doesn't really care that much, But when I show her stuff the left does, she does say, like, this is crazy, because it's just common sense. So her friend,
nowadays,
when she told her friend that I voted for Trump, and that I was a Republican, she was like outraged, right? And then she was like, "Did you hear what Trump said?" And Tracy's like, "Yeah," and I love her for this so much. She's like, "Isn't it like the worst thing ever?" And Tracy goes, "No, it's two dudes talking." I was like, "Well, I love you."
Can we please just stop making every action by this man out to be sexual harassment before you diminish the value of actual sexual harassment? That goes back to the point I made before.
Yeah.
And it's just that is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that it's a cyclical thing. I forgot to mention it in the notes about Illinois too. It almost feeds directly into this. So in Illinois, just to go back to that topic real quick, you bail them out, they don't learn their lesson, and they continue to vote Democratic politicians.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to do the same thing, leading into a budget crisis that they need to be bailed out of. It gets into this cyclical nature, right? That they just keep on repeating the same mistakes because they don't learn their lesson. Well, what's going to happen with this? We're going to get to the point where they accuse him of so many different things and make sexual harassment cases of all these things, including saying that you have a nice smile, that it gets to the point where when people say things, it's not going to be taken seriously anymore. The whole cry wolf thing.
Yeah.
And then what happens? When their guy gets into office and the accusations are thrown right back in their face because people like Joe Biden do even creepier things, well, they don't have a leg to stand on anymore.
Yeah.
They don't realize that in the end, they're chopping off their nose to spite their face, basically.
It's kind of like the Republicans back then saying about the new healthcare or Obamacare being done behind closed doors, and now they're doing it. It's the same kind of thing,
Yep.
And it's just even going back to the comment during the election. 12 years before he's running for president or whatever, 11 years. So I remember at that time also, like, Jay-Z and Beyonce put on a concert all for supporting Hillary and everything. And I was like, yeah, what Trump said was really awful. I was like, it'd be so bad if someone else said stuff like this. And then I just put like 2 paragraphs of Jay-Z lyrics, And then a friend of mine wrote up and they're like, yeah, but he's not running for president. And I'm like, yeah, and 11 years ago Trump wasn't either. And they're like, yeah, but he's just a celebrity billionaire CEO. And I'm like, yeah, and 11 years ago Trump was a celebrity billionaire CEO. Do you realize how stupid you sound?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, listen. This feeds into our main topic tonight, still being Trump as the main topic. But before we go on, I just want to remind everyone of the social media that you can follow along on. And so, if you're watching right now, you might be watching on Facebook Live. You can always catch a live streams by following along and getting notifications when we go live. Just search for the at the bottom of the video. There's the 3 main information that you need with Facebook being the Generation Y Conservative. Search for that. You can also find me on YouTube under the Generation Y Conservative, which is a great channel because there's more than just politics on there. It's a lot of fun stuff. And as you can see, the political end of the podcast have been going more and more in a funny direction by my own writing. It's on purpose because we have more fun with that, and it helps people laugh at the horrible things going on in our lives. You can also follow me and interact with me on Twitter by following along with @GenYConservative without the E on the end. And you can also find me in the podcast and audio-only versions on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. iTunes specifically thanks to internet radio station KLRN, which you can hear me on from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays, which is this podcast re-aired. So always get involved. That's what I talk about. And right now, I just also want to push that I'm pushing a campaign right now, and if you and other people wouldn't mind, I'm trying to get as many subscribers, specifically on YouTube, but certainly follow along on Facebook as well, as possible, because once you hit certain mile markers, a lot more things open up for you to use analytically with tools and pushing out to the content to new people and everything.
Yeah.
So if you are a listener to the podcast or a watcher of the podcast, as it may be, I would encourage you to share this video, the podcast itself, or share the pages, whether it's the channel on YouTube or the Facebook page, and tell people that might be of like mind, hey, follow along with this, along with everyone else that you're listening to as well, because it's a fun podcast, you know, that you can listen to and get a little relief from the more highly intelligent and articulate people like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And outlandish things like Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
So,
and even if you're not exactly of like mind, but are just a reasonable person, debates are always fun, you know.
Yeah.
So
I've actually had a couple recently on the YouTube channel. So it gets interesting. So again, if you wouldn't mind going over and hitting subscribe, and especially sharing, I would really appreciate that. And certainly get involved. And then once you do that, go on Twitter and interact with me there. Let me know that you subscribed. And get involved with some of the topics. Actually, last week, I'm looking for more suggestions on the female manspreading term. So if anybody wants to give me their version of a female doing it and what that term would be, that would be fun too. So in our main topic for tonight, we are talking about two at least semi-relevant criticisms of President Trump from this week. First, Time magazine has asked that President Trump take down framed Time magazine covers featuring Trump that were never produced and obviously faked from his golf course resort. The Washington Post reported on Tuesday that a framed Time cover featuring Trump and the headline, "Donald Trump, the Apprentice is a television smash," seen hanging at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, was faked. At the top of the page, in capitals, was a proclamation, "Trump is hitting on all fronts, even TV." Freedom. The image, dated March 1st of 2009, had never run on the magazine in any format. A Time spokeswoman said that the real March edition featured actor Kate Winslet. When the heck? Besides Titanic, where the heck did she go to?
She's been in a bunch of stuff.
Was she in the spot, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yeah, she was in that, but she's been, I don't know, honestly, I don't know the names of the movies off the top of my head, but she's been in a bunch of stuff, and I do think she's a great actress.
All right, sorry, Kate.
Yeah. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I'm still waiting for Megyn Kelly to call me. I can confirm that this is not a real-time cover, said Carrie Chicka. Wrote to the Post. The paper said Time had asked the Trump organization to remove the covers from the display. This, of course, led to Time magazine cover manipulations all over Twitter by people poking fun at the president, which is always fun. It's one of my most fun things. People that actually know how to use Photoshop, and even those that use it horribly.
Yeah.
When people ask for things to be Photoshopped out, and the responses from people, those are always funny. But so people started making their own Time magazine covers, and it turned out to be pretty funny. For a guy that complains a lot about fake news, I find this very interesting that he would put this up.
Yep.
But at the same time, I take issue because this is Trump's ego. Right? He is the type of person that this isn't funny. This is like him trying to show himself off. That's his type of ego, right? But at the same time, when I was in art school and doing graphic design, one of the things that I did was I redid a Time magazine cover and a National Geographic cover, which turned out amazing, by the way. You wouldn't know. Yeah. They're pieces that I would certainly hang up, right?
Yeah.
And if I did a good one of me, like the Generation Y Conservative podcast becomes the #1 hit in the country, on Time magazine, like that kind of cover, and I made that, I would freaking hang it up in my house. I would hang it up right here, just to be poke fun, because that is having fun with it, right? So it's not like he has a big ego. But
putting it in the lobby, though, of your resort.
Actually, I think this one was in the bathroom.
That's even better. Then that could be considered a joke.
Exactly.
Plus, also, the other thing I always like to... And I bring up, skepticism and not knowing all the facts of a story, whether it's a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. Like, Do we know he made them? He hung them up? That he commissioned them?
Come on.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
I mean, he's like, who knows who did that or for what reason, or if it was meant as a joke or meant for fun.
I'm sure someone liked him, did it for him, gave it to him, and he probably thought it was great and said, "Hey, make 3 more for the other resorts."
Yeah. And if it was done on purpose to make his own, like, inflate his own ego, then it was a stupid thing to do. I mean, he has been on time many times, even before. Oh,
time once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was back in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. So, I mean, but he has plenty of stuff that he could hang that is legitimate, that would do the same thing he would want done.
Yeah, exactly. I said, the only other thing
still
I said
not a good look, though.
No, the only other thing I said was own up to it and say it was all in good fun and let them move on to the next minor upset that they want to turn into breaking news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The other big story is that around 8 a.m. the other day, President Trump tweeted an attack on MSNBC's Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Was it yesterday or the day before?
I think it was yesterday because it seems pretty fresh.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh.
Which was the 29th of June.
The tweets read, "I heard poorly rated at Morning Joe speaks badly of me." In parentheses, don't watch anymore. Which, why are you on tweeting at 8 a.m. if you're not watching? Then how come low IQ crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no.
I said no. I always love how they read the tweets, It's obvious that he writes the tweets, or whoever writes tweets, I think it is him. He writes the tweets to stay within the 140 characters, but they read it like a mentally challenged person. I said no. When it's obvious he's just trying to make it fit, But they read it in a way that's like this is a child, just writing stuff out. Facelift, gone bad. Don't watch. No. Bad. So bad.
Mika, for her part, actually tweeted a response by showing a picture of a Cheerios
Yes,
box.
I saw that.
Saying made for little hands.
Yeah.
Which is a common criticism since the primaries of President Trump, making fun of his hand size and ultimately a size of something else.
Yeah,
they're always trying to imply. So that's childish, too.
It is. Because when you do that, when she does that, she's going down into his world and she's going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, they're just both sinking down into this petty
and I was going to say it's more so him sinking down to their level.
Yeah.
Because it's an endless barrage from MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, who just recently got rid of 3 people for making.
Oh my God! And all the Project Veritas undercover videos that are coming out, talking about how the whole Russia thing is a nothing burger.
As well
nice
as
one, Van Jones.
As well as other media outlets that they're just. It's not even that they're attacking Trump on a daily basis; it's an hourly basis.
Yep.
So it's no wonder that he's fighting back on some of these things, but at the same time, he shouldn't be the way he is.
So I have 2 minds of this. Is it presidential? No. Is it 2 wrongs not making a right? Yes, But just, he gets beaten up in the press day after day after day, hour after hour, like you said, where just as a person, I think it's hilarious. And these are also stories that come and then go away. Like, if grab him by the you-know-what didn't hurt him in the election, this isn't going to hurt him now. It's just...
to go along with that, I think if they keep up the course of action that they're doing with the way that they're attacking him and the way things are going in this country, I think he could win another term.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when he does, the media is going to be so confused that they did everything they possibly could and had all these protests around the country and all these things happening by the social justice warriors and everything. And when those results come in, they're going to be dumbfounded.
Yep.
Like, there were anchors that cried on election night.
And those were some of the best things I've ever seen. Like, I could, if I'm in a bad mood or feeling down, I could pull up some videos.
The Jacob Javits Center when all the liberals were waiting
crying
for Hillary to come out.
And just bewildered, not knowing what just happened. Look at
imagine if it happens again after all that they're doing now. Like, I honestly believe that there's going to come a point if that election happens, if he chooses to run again, and he wins, I believe that there's going to be dead air. There's going to be dead air. They're just going to sit there and look at each other, hoping someone else starts to train on what to say, not knowing what to say, and it's just going to be them thinking to themselves, but we did everything we could to destroy this man. Yep. Because they elevate themselves as this presence in America that the media is so important, but they're not anymore.
No.
No one trusts them.
Big cable news networks aren't as important as they used to be.
Yeah.
And the other thing too with all of this, you know, Trump when he makes tweets like that, he's playing to his base. With the CNN and MSNBC and what they're doing, they're playing to their base. They're not winning over moderates. They're not winning by attacking.
Pushing them our way.
They're pushing them away. Exactly. So they're not. They're just preaching to the choir, you know. And it's not. It's they're. I really do think they're going to notice it during the next election.
Yeah, I was just describing.
They keep losing every Congress seat, everything. I mean. Alyssa Milano is driving people to the polls. They're spending millions of dollars and they just can't win. And they got to look in the mirror and say, why is this happening?
Well, the person that's looking in the mirror asking why it's happening and not understanding is the type of reflection you don't want coming back at you, which is Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my God.
Who has been on the line now. And I forgot, that was supposed to be one of my main topics tonight. Mm-hmm. I posted a video this week of Nancy Pelosi on an interview on like ABC Good Morning America or something like that, where before they even introduced her, they cut to an endless barrage of Democratic senators and representatives that said it's time for Nancy Pelosi to go because she has led us in the wrong direction and she's bad for leadership. She's bad for these elections, and we're losing because of her. And then they cut to her. What do you think about these people? I have never felt so uncomfortable for a politician before as that. Because it was bad. I felt bad for her in that sense. But then the way she answered, I'm right back to, you deserve every second of this. Yeah. Because she was basically saying that this isn't her fault, and she's been this great leader of... It's just horrible stuff. Yeah. I will throw that.
Play the video on the YouTube.
Yeah, I'll play it on the YouTube one, but it's just horrible. She has no self-reflection at all. Yeah, in the sense that her leadership has led to the highest congressional spending for a race outside of Atlanta. Do you think Atlanta's Republican? Right outside of Atlanta, the 6th district, most money ever spent was close to $50 million that was supposed to be a referendum on Trump, and they lost. They lost by more points than Hillary lost to Trump. They lost by 4 points.
You even go back to that other election that happened a month ago or so. I forget the guy's name, but where he body slammed a liberal reporter and he still won.
Yes,
he still won.
And I don't like that.
That's not good at all. Yeah. But that just goes to show you the state that the Democratic Party is in right now.
Yeah.
And they have the craziest thing about it is they have no idea why. Like they're just so just lost. You know?
Absolutely. Here's what I find interesting. I'm not going to toe the party line. Trump is a bully.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he is.
Okay,
yeah.
But the media has been garnishing that title also for a very long time now. So I find it funny that I always like comparisons and analogies, right? I find it funny that it's almost like being in high school again, where there's like 2 main bullies in the school. And suddenly they stop picking on all the little guys and just start picking on each other.
Yeah.
And you sit back and you watch and you're like, you just watch the spectacle, right? Yeah. And they're both just bullies, bullying each other. Bullies bullying bullies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find that kind of funny. Well, guess what? Guess who came to Joe and Mika's rescue?
Who's that?
Do you know or no?
I don't know.
Kathy Griffin.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So, Kathy Griffin has slithered out from the rock that she's been hiding under since her scandalous photo shoot of her holding the decapitated head of President Trump. By the way, you look at this and you look at all these media attacks and people wonder why he's fighting back.
Oh
like
yeah.
this.
No,
I
mean, I don't agree with him doing it in the sense that it's not presidential. It's not the way to take the higher road, you know. But I mean, a normal person would be mudslinging right back because how much can you take? Nothing good that he does is ever covered.
Yep.
Even other bigger stories. I mean, when I'm reading on a ticker about the
that's the only place they show it.
That Republican or that there was a terrorist attack in London or whatever. I'm reading that on a ticker, and they're talking about Russia.
Yep.
The nothing burger that is Russia. I mean, what person wouldn't fight back, you know? Especially when you're told from the beginning that he's a counterpuncher. That if you hit him, he hits you 10 times harder. That's stuff that I remember hearing during the election. So
one of my
ask Jeb Bush.
One of my YouTube subscribers pointed out, and I was surprised I haven't included this yet, in regards to the Russia allegations.
Mm-hmm.
There is video, and I remember it happening at the time, back when Obama was running for his second term.
Was this when he leaned over and said, "Hey, after the election, we'll be able to take care of it. We'll be good." Yeah,
we'll be able to work together. He was saying this to the Russian, to Putin, was it?
No, it wasn't Putin. It was one of his guys or whatever.
Let's get past this election. We'll have more leeway to work with each other.
Once I win and I got it locked up, then we can do all the shady backdoor stuff that we want to do.
You have that. You have the fact that I don't even want to say we because it pisses me off so much because one of my favorite modern politicians is Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Obama sent the State Department over with our taxpayer money to influence the election against the Prime Minister over there, Netanyahu, pisses me off. Yeah. So these liberals are upset that Russia is interfering with our elections, but have no self-reflection that Obama got the U.S. involved in trying to traject a different territory for Israel in how their elections went.
Mm-hmm.
It's such hypocrisy.
Yep.
So anyway, get back to Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, what did she say? What did she have to say through her forked tongue?
Kathy Griffin said the POTUS likes to punch down, whether it's anchors, U.S. attorneys, or stand-up comics. Does she know any stand-up comics? No. Meanwhile, millions are about to lose health care insurance. Well, I already cleared up that in this podcast.
Yeah.
They are losing it because they don't want it. But it wasn't just the left coming out against the president's tweet. Nebraska Senator, and in my opinion, future president, Ben Sasse, tweeted, "Please just stop. This isn't normal, and it's beneath the dignity of your office." Now, also, my nose is all itchy. Probably humidity. I'm sweating it. Also, South Carolina Rhino, Senator Lindsey Graham, also tweeted. Can I read it in his voice?
Yeah.
Mr. President, your tweet was beneath the office and represents what is wrong with American politics, not the greatness of America. I love the fact that we have the type of technology that has completely revamped the presidential FDR fireside chat.
Yep.
Right? We have broadcasting networks, which you can't trust anymore, but at least it's instant, right?
Yep.
And you have the ability for President Trump now to use social media. Obama really took a hold of it in his term. I think that people really on the right respect that Trump has the ability and isn't giving it up, but that they have this direct line to the people. And I think really that's what it saved him during the election process.
Sure. Was
clearing up things that were said that weren't true.
Yep.
Right? Or him just fighting back. But with great power comes great responsibility, as we're going to learn in the as we're going to learn in the movie coming out next week, the Spider-Man. But sometimes it's just plain responsible to hand that Twitter control over to a more friendly, PR-friendly co-pilot, which we've been calling for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want him to stop tweeting. I find personal entertainment in it sometimes. There are things like the personal attacks. I think that should be cut off.
I feel about his tweeting like I feel about the Westboro Baptist Church claiming to be Christians.
Okay.
It gives the right a bad name.
Yeah.
And they give Christians a bad name.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I like to see someone punch back. You know, I like to see someone take bullying and turn it around on the bullied.
Yep.
You know? But at the same time, we're not doing the right any favors by having this guy and the way he speaks represent the rest of us that would never do this.
Yeah. But he was voted in, and we knew what we were getting. You know, one of the things about him that people wanted was that he's not a politician.
Yep.
You know, he's something else. You know, and what I don't mind the tweeting, but what I want more is for him to kind of focus more on the main issues of his election and what got him in office.
Yeah.
The immigration, the trade agreements, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, I want to be more on just focus on those things and keeping those promises.
The biggest promise that was a letdown was having the FBI investigate Hillary Clinton and actually put her in jail.
Yep.
I wanted to see him follow through on that the most.
Yeah.
More than the wall, more than immigration, more than trade policies. I just wanted to see the Clintons that have used the political arm of our government to garnish all the favors, to politically motivate and blackmail.
Yep.
Just to finally pay for the destructive way that they have torn apart our country.
Yep.
And I really do think that was the start of the divide in this country.
Yep. Yeah,
the heavy divide.
I agree that I would love to see that happen. But what I kind of think in regards to that quote during that debate, I never thought that was one of his actual plans, right? I think that, well, obviously it wasn't.
It was just a promise.
Yeah, obviously it was. But what I think that was the birth of that comment was that she was attacking him on all this stuff, and he just off the cuff in the during the debate.
It was the best.
Yeah, would just be like, you know what? Ever. Maybe when I get in office, I'll investigate you, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. You know, I don't think it was ever.
What was the exact line? It was like, I forget. That was the best one, though.
Yeah, it was great.
I wanted him to just drop the mic.
Yeah.
Walk out.
Yeah, so I don't think it was ever something he was planning on doing. I think just out of, like, anger, he probably just threw that out there in the debate. And then after the election, I'm sure that he probably got a lot of pressure of being like, listen, to kind of bring the country together, which didn't happen anyway, but to kind of bring the country together, just drop that, you know, so that, you know, to kind of heal the divide, but it didn't happen anyway. Yeah. And that would be amazing if he did do that. That would be, oh God, that would be so great.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have a new movie review coming up. That's coming. The movie itself is coming out next week. I don't know when we're all going to get together to see it. It should be within days of the movie coming out. But that movie that we're going to be reviewing next is Spider-Man Homecoming, which is coming out next week. It is already getting amazing reviews, pun intended. Mm-hmm. And we will be shooting a review for the summer blockbuster as well. So keep an eye out for that on the YouTube channel. Also, you will be getting notifications by my Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel as well. Also, I won't be speaking with you until after the 4th of July. So get out there and spread some liberty and freedom. 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 Freedom.
Freedom.
Go teach some of these entitled millennials what those terms even mean.
Yep.
And then for every child you save from progressive ideologies, I should turn this into a commercial with the Sarah McLachlan song in the background. For every child that you save from progressive ideologies, send up a glorious firework and hand them a hot dog or hamburger from the grill.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for tuning in again. Big thank you to Mike, who joins me, and will be back next week, apparently. So until next week, have a great night, and God bless America.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes. An album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.